What's up, Guardians? Profane here. Thanks for checking out the video. In Season 22, I covered what I thought to be the most powerful Solar Titan build in Destiny. But now that Season of the Wish is here, and we get a new artifact with tons of solar-oriented mods, that same Titan build has now become better and stronger than it has ever been, giving Titans an exceptionally powerful solo build to take into any level of content this season. The Pyrogale Gauntlets were released earlier this year, and has forever changed the way that you will play Solar Titan. Pyrogale Gauntlets provide the percussive Flames intrinsic trait, which converts the Hammer of Soul into a one-shot, overpowered slam that deals 650% increased damage. When this new super is performed, 3 Solar Cyclones will be released that track down nearby enemies, applying continuous damage and scorch. Damage from the Cyclones will even overlap, which can make this build exceed damage levels that not even the Cuirass of a Fallen Star can keep up with. With the addition of a few select artifact mods, you can amplify this damage even more. With the use of Heart of the Flame, when you cast your super near allies, you'll gain a stacking bonus in damage based on how many allies are nearby. So far, this is looking like it's around 7% additional damage with each ally. And on the flip side, we have Solo Operative, so when you're in an activity by yourself, you'll deal 15% bonus damage with all abilities and all weapons. Pyrogales already provides Titans with a super that dealt more damage than any other class, and now with the addition of these mods, this is an unparalleled build. On top of several solar mods like Kindling Trigger, Rays of Precision, and Flint Striker, which will boost the performance of any solar weapon, this season brings 3 rocket launcher oriented mods: Blast Radius, Argent Ordnance, and Overload rocket launchers. Blast Radius creates armor charges when getting multi-kills with rocket launchers, and with Argent Ordnance, those armor charges will be consumed to provide 10% additional damage with each rocket. The more armor charges you have, the more of a bonus you'll get. This coincides perfectly with the release of the Dragon's Breath, which has proven that it's capable of putting out some insane levels of damage, applying a continuous stream of Scorch and Ignitions. And it synergizes exceptionally well with the Pyrogale's devastating super and our other solar abilities, since you can easily alternate through a rotation of these in between shots of the Dragon's Breath to give Dragon's Breath more Scorch and Ignition damage. On top of an overpowered super combination, Pyrogales is going to amplify the performance of your Consecration Slams, providing its own mini Cyclone that provides Scorch and additional damage over a shorter amount of time. We're already using Bonk Hammer with this build, so having an overpowered Consecration Slam that scorches and ignites enemies to go along with the cure that Hammers provides is going to make you quite unstoppable. As many of you have likely noticed, Hammers now have a slight delay in their recharge rate, but it's still worth using, and it continues to be the best solar melee option since it does provide Cure, which grants 30 points of health on each final blow. What will really benefit all of these abilities is the use of the Roaring Flames aspect. Solar ability kills and ignitions grant stacks of Roaring Flames, and when we're at 3 stacks of Roaring Flames, we're getting a 73% bonus to all of our abilities. So that's 73% additional damage that stacks on top of the 650% increased super damage that Pyrogales is providing. And that's also on top of the bonus damage that will apply because of Heart of the Flame, or Solo Operative. When it comes to our fragment choices, we're going with Ember of Ashes, which provides a 50% increase to all Scorch damage. Ember of Torches to give us and allies Radiance whenever we hit enemies with charged melees. Since we also have Flint Striker keeping us radiant, we should always have a 20% increase to all of our weapon damage. We've also got Ember of Searing, which will provide as much as 25% melee energy whenever we scorch targets, and when we defeat scorched enemies, they will create fire sprites, which do grant an additional 12.5% grenade energy. If we use Ember of Char, then Ignitions will spread Scorch to nearby targets, which is going to help us in a lot of ways. But we could also use Ember of Benevolence, so that whenever we trigger Radiance, Cure, or Restoration, we'll get an instant 400% bonus in the regeneration rate of our grenade, melee, and class ability. Alright, before we talk about the other areas of this build, I want to address our grenade option. With a nerf to cure and restoration effects, healing grenades have become more beneficial than ever, especially in in-game content. But when you're in need of extra damage, and extra options to scorch and ignite, then a thermite or a solar grenade will be a great option. And when you are primed up and ready to go for damage, be sure to use a rally barricade, not a towering. Alright, now let's talk about the armor and armor mods that you'll need with this build. End-game content typically requires higher resilience and higher recovery, but strength is the main character stat to focus on, since it's going to improve the regeneration of our melee. Intellect will also be a great stat to focus towards, but as you'll see, there's several armor mods that we can use to balance it out. Since our melee and super is the focal point of this build, our armor mods need to reflect this. This is why we're using hands-on with our helmets, so we get super energy when we defeat enemies with charged melees. We're also using orb creation mods, like Siphon, Heavy-Handed, and Reaper. This way we'll have orbs to give us super energy, and create armor charges. Melee Kickstart will be beneficial to get our melee energy back faster, but if we are using Dragon's Breath and other rocket launchers, along with Argent Ordnance, Melee Kickstart should not be used, as it will take away our ability to get the boosted damage. But with our chest we have Charged Up, which can help us maintain armor charges, since we get one additional armor charge for each mod. Since we should be able to create a steady stream of orbs, we are using Absolution, so that we gain a small amount of energy to all of our abilities when collecting an orb. And with the use of Invigoration, we'll gain 10% melee energy off of each of those orbs. And with Recuperation, we'll get 40 points of health whenever they're picked up. But if you're looking for dealing out the most damage, you're definitely going to want to utilize Weapon Surge mods. As I mentioned before, we're using the Reaper mod on our class item, so that we generate orbs after casting our barricade. But we could also use the Distribution mod to give all of our abilities a small amount of energy when casting our barricade. We can also utilize the Outreach mod, so that when we cast our barricade near enemies, we'll get 12% melee energy back. Collectively, these mods should provide much better regeneration of all of our abilities, so that we can maintain the use of our Consecration Slam and have our overpowered super more often. When it comes to our choice in weapons, the first thing to consider will be the playlist modifiers and champions, so before you queue up into anything, be sure to check. With that said, the Eremite with Envious Assassin and Controlled Burst continues to be one of the best legendary weapons to include in a DPS rotation. 1-2 Punch doesn't provide benefits when using hammers or Consecration, but it will still boost our non-charged melee damage by 100%, which can still provide immense benefits. Solar weapons with Incandescent are going to really excel this season, and with the nerf to cure and restoration effects, having weapons with Repulsor Brace and destabilizing rounds or Heal Clip will be an excellent way to provide yourself with additional sources of health and survivability. The Tractor Cannon is still going to be a great option in your choice of heavy, but since the Dragon's Breath benefits from all of the solar and rocket launcher artifact mods, it's going to make a much better option when you're in solo content. But when you are in a team, someone should certainly bring the Tractor Cannon. There's a few other artifact mods that I failed to mention earlier in the video, but these are mods that can still provide tremendous benefits if you have space for them. From Whence It Came will deal bonus damage to Taken and Scorn enemies, which are the two main factions that we're up against this season, and are also going to be the enemies included in this season's dungeon. Revitalizing Blast will come in clutch when facing off against champions, as causing damage with any solar ability will weaken champions with a solar debuff that causes additional Scorch and Ignitions. There's a new dungeon about to launch tomorrow, and Grandmasters are right around the corner. So if you're still looking for a top tier Solar Titan build that's going to provide you with the best damage and best survivability, then look no further than the Pyrogale Gauntlets in combination with the Dragon's Breath. And with that being said, that brings us to an end of today's amazing Season 23 Titan build. I'd love to hear your thoughts about the Pyrogale Gauntlets and Solar Titans, and let me know what your favorite build has been so far this season. Thank you as always for checking out the video. If you enjoyed and found it helpful, then be sure to hit that like button below, along with the subscribe button if you're new. Both are greatly appreciated, and both really do help support the channel. And I'd like to give a big thanks to everybody out there for all the tremendous support you've given the channel lately. If you're a new Light Guardian just starting your journey, or a battle-hardened veteran just looking for a new home, then be sure to check out the Discord link in the description below and join one of the greatest communities in all of Destiny. And until next time, Guardians, this has been Profane, wishing you all some happy hunting.